there is a larger problem that I probably speak personally, but also as the administration, could have identified earlier, and that is the way the federal government does procurement and does IT is just generally not very efficient.
I don't even want to hear this anymore. I don't really even care what he says anymore. He's better off like just taking a vacation until this is all fixed, if it's ever fixed, and just not saying anything anymore. Joining us now is our friend Charles Hurt, fine columnist for the Washington Times. Hello, Charles.
Hey, Steve. How you doing?
I'm fine. Great piece today. I love the way it starts. Disgrace and embarrassment, utter disregard for the law. Toronto's crack mayor Rob Ford? No, President Obama.
Yeah, I think actually we might actually be in better shape if all we were talking about here was the president smoking crack or having some drunken rage on a videotape, because that stuff, all that is just going to go away when Rob Ford leaves the Toronto mayoralty. But the stuff that President Obama is doing and the ways in which he is undermining the Constitution, completely ignoring the Constitution, he's rewritten his health care law twice, and then there are countless other examples that you probably will more quickly remember all of them, where he just simply takes executive action, goes around, and he was a constitutional expert.
Well, I want you to hear, I had a conversation with Senator Ted Cruz, and I want you to hear cut 32. He addressed that, and then Al Sharpton played it on his show last night. Here's cut 32.
One of the most troubling aspects of the Obama administration is, aside from their radical policy, the way they've implemented it has sadly been lawless. Over and over again, this president has said, I don't care what the law is, I'm going to refuse to enforce it.
He's accusing the president of being lawless because he's implementing the health care law. I mean, Michelle, this is incredible.
All right, yeah, incredible indeed. Ted Cruz is absolutely right, and law after law, Charles, as you alluded to, whether it's not enforcing DOMA, whether it's the welfare overhaul where he relaxed the work requirement, whether it's not deporting people who need to be deported, it just goes on and on and on.
And it's gotten to the point where it has become such an entrenched precedent. And these things are very important to in a government like this. It has become such entrenched precedent that any future president can take go into the Oval Office and say, well, this precedent has been laid out, so I can certainly do this. And at some point, it's like having a child. If you let them get away with something right in front of you again and again and again and again, that 12th time or 50th time, you're kind of on shaky ground when you say, no, you're not allowed to do that. And unfortunately, Ted Cruz is exactly right. It is the definition of lawless. But for whatever reason, and I don't know if it's because polite people don't like to. It's like accusing someone of being a liar. You don't like to accuse somebody of completely usurping the Constitution, and so it's almost like we are having a hard time mustering up the shock and outrage over this that we really should have.
But why would you not want to go after somebody for doing this to the Constitution? No other president has done this. I mean, is it because anybody is afraid of using the I word, as I brought up to Cruz, and Cruz said I would urge the Congress or the House, he said, to use their best judgment when considering this as an impeachment issue? I mean, why not? Is it because the guy's black?
Yeah, there's certainly the race issue has got to be. You can't discount it because the media has fallen all over itself to give this president passes at every turn that they would never give anybody. I mean, the idea that this business with the rollout of the law that is such a disaster that is going to reach deeply into people's personal lives, and these people, somebody that's had insurance all the time and suddenly they lose their insurance, and then he says, oh, no, but you can have your insurance back. You think those insurance companies are going to bring those people back?
No.
You really are looking at people. People could die because of this. Americans could die because of this.
He's created total chaos through his incompetence and his lying. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean that.
And the media is, obviously they're reporting the stories now and everything, but it's nothing like the level of ghastly scandal that it should be.
I agree with you. I agree. As a matter of fact, they're now picking up the line, which Obama's helping to set up, and this is, I guess, what they came up with in their strategy sessions, that going forward now, hey, the Republicans are to blame in part for this because they never did anything to support Obama. Not one of them voted for this, so it's their fault that it's failing. Go figure that one out.
that the logic or the non-logic there is it's demonic. It's diabolical. It is so it is such a lie to sit there and try to make the argument, because it sounds right. Al Sharpton is not the sharpest guy in the world, although a wonderful shoot from the hip speaker. I love interviewing him, but he's not. He'll follow the logic, this logic, and he'll fall for it. The notion that because Republicans or conservatives have been against this all along is somehow to be blamed, is the reason for the face plant out of the gate is preposterous.
It is.
But it's the president preying on the ignorance of his supporters.
Absolutely. All right, we're talking to Charles Hurt, Washington Times. We haven't spoken since Martin Bashir opened his mouth again in what is probably the most despicable thing I've ever heard anybody say, not only about anyone, but especially a woman. I mean, I've never heard anyone talk about this at all, ever. Now, Joe Scarborough was on with me earlier. He made some news. He said that, first of all, whenever someone on MSNBC says something that goes, that he considers to be over the line, he marches into Phil Griffin's office and says either they apologize or I talk about it. He says Bashir, he didn't hear it when it happened. He agrees with the apology, but he said you could bet he didn't write that on his own. So now what do you think should happen to Bashir, and the fact that nothing has happened to Bashir?
Yeah, I don't know what should happen to him, but I tell you, it reveals to me the depth of the jaundice that occupies these, quote unquote mainstream. He's not really mainstream, I don't think. Certainly not anymore. But I mean, these people, they are filled with such vitriolic hate for people like Sarah Palin and a lot of these other American, voters that don't agree with their politics. They are so vicious and they are so toxic. And they think they can say anything to them, and it is just so mind blowing because, of course, the rest of us live under the tyranny of this notion that we're supposed to, of political correctness, where we can never go outside the lines and say something, and if you do, you get killed for it. But this isn't even just this isn't outside the lines. This is on a different planet in terms of inappropriateness, disgustingness, and distortion of what Sarah Palin said in the first place.
Absolutely. Well, let me ask you one question, Charles, because we only have a few seconds left. Does Obamacare cover Palin derangement syndrome? I don't know if you have to. I mean, it covers contraception, but I'm not sure if it covers Palin derangement syndrome.
As long as it's the death panels that are handling that, I'll be okay.
All right, Charles. Always great to talk to you. Thanks for your time as always, sir.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, bye. Charles Hurt, ladies and gentlemen, Washington Times columnist. When we come back, George W. Bush was on Leno yesterday. I want to let you hear some of that, and I want to talk about it a little bit when we come back. And then a very interesting guest at the bottom. He was a courtroom reporter for